Welcome in the House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Vic the producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for Sports Illustrated, MMQB. And Gilbert, this was supposed to be a highly anticipated matchup in Week 12 between the Los Angeles Rams and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to get Matthew Stafford against Baker Mayfield, and everybody was going to be healthy. But I just looked at the injury report, Gilbert, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 14 players on their injury report. So Sunday night game, coming off of a big win against the Seahawks. I guess you're expecting to not have a letdown, take care of business against a really beat up Buccaneers team, but we'll discuss it, Gilbert. I just want to get your thoughts in terms of the Buccaneers and just, I mean, it just seems like things just keep getting worse for them with all this injury report.
Yeah, I think they're slowly fading and falling apart, but they're kind of similar to the 49ers where they just got these massive injury waves and for the most part they've been doing okay. They're over 500, they're 6-4. But similar to the 49ers last week, like I think they might get some reinforcements back soon. I don't know if it's going to be for this game, so that'll be a benefit for the Rams here. So I think that why this game doesn't feel that massive or hyped up. It's nowhere near to the lead up or the build up to last week where the Seahawks and the Rams got all the hype. There was Lions, Eagles, there was Chiefs, Broncos, the Buccaneers, Bills, but this was the best game, Seahawks, Rams, and there's no hype here, it feels like. And then maybe I could be wrong. Maybe shout out to you, Brian Smith, for getting the comments going. Maybe Brian Smith feels better about this game. It is Sunday Night Football. It is a home game at SoFi Stadium, but it doesn't really feel that way. But we'll get to it in a bit. But I think their turnaround is coming for the Buccaneers. I think we'll get a better effort from them. Like I mentioned on Game Week with the compas, they were punching the Bills last week, but then they realized, oh crap, we're not in the right weight class. Oh, boom, knocked out in the third quarter, like out of nowhere. I thought that
Yeah.
game was going to be
So did I.
fireworks 4 quarters, and then it's like, what happened? Sean Tucker is running all over them, and they're down 15 points. Like, it's weird. They're just really banged up. You got to feel for Baker Mayfield, but at some point, hey Baker, you want to get paid a bunch of money? Go do what you did in September. You got to ball out.
Yeah, former Ram, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And he was great on that Thursday night game against the Raiders. But Gilbert, I mean, we got a lot to get into. We have latest news and notes. Three guys going IR for the Rams. Gilbert, we'll get into that on our latest news and notes, plus storylines for both teams going into this matchup. And lastly, we'll do our game prediction, Gilbert. But before we get to all that, do you have an engagement question for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, let me know what are the keys to a Rams victory over the Buccaneers this week. No, Brian, the Buccaneers will be in LA and they're not hosting the Rams in Tampa Bay. Yeah, it's that time of year where you kind of lose track of the schedule.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, it kind of feels like the back stretch or we're not really there. Like the home stretch is probably what the final 4 games, but they're getting close there. Um, so yeah, they are at home here. But anyways, the keys to a Rams victory. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the replay version of this video here. And you know, I know people give me crap for always crapping on the Rams secondary, but you might need another terrific performance from the Rams secondary to beat the Buccaneers, and not like where you get 4 takeaways. That was just an amazing, rare game where you got 4 interceptions for the secondary, 2 from Cam Kitchens, 1 from Kobe Durant, 1 from, or I forgot the fourth one. Or who was it? Did Forbes get one? I lost track. Well, Forbes had a bunch of passes defended, and you're gonna need more of that. I think you're gonna need more passes defended, feisty coverage. Can Forbes do that for 2 weeks in a row? This is a game to do it. So again, you might not get 4 interceptions, but if you're playing some sticky coverage where you're not letting Baker cook with Emeka Egbuka, or is it Ebuka? I forget if the G is silent. I don't know about Chris Godwin's status. You looked at the report,
Yeah.
Victor.
We'll get to it. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of did not practice and a lot of
yeah.
limited practice in this.
The
There
point
was
is they're
only
gonna they're
one
gonna have
full
web
practice.
Yeah, they're gonna have weapons. They got Tez Johnson. They keep drafting receivers of that find ways to produce. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest key for the secondary to do what they did last week and build off the momentum, or just find ways to get better. But maybe there's something else differently from this game. But to me, that's the big one.
Yeah, and I think, I will get into in storylines. For me, it has to go back to the offense. I think the offense, kind of got, they came back to reality here after going up against the Seahawks. I kind of want to see this. You're gonna have to play well against this Buccaneers defense, because if you look at the last 2 weeks for the Buccaneers, Gilbert, the Patriots ran all over them. They were able to use the screen game against them. Same thing with the Bills, and so I would expect Sean McVay to be able to use some of that 13 personnel in this game, and be able to run the ball, run some screens here, get Puka more involved in this game, and for sure try to get Devontae Adams to catch more than one pass there and not continue to drop balls there. So Brian Smith says the key for him is the key the key to this week's game and the remainder of the season is no more injuries. And Gilbert, that is a perfect segue there. Thank you, Brian Smith, for that, because we're going to get to our Rams news and notes segment plus injury report. And I was shocked. Like, I knew about Quinn Lake. I think I knew we had heard that he had a bad elbow injury, and it was probably he was going to miss significant time. But today we got the news that Quinn Lake, Tyler Higbee, and Rob Havenstein are all going on IR. McVay said that it's an ankle for Higbee and then an ankle and knee bursitis for Havenstein. So those guys are going on IR. McVay also told reporters today that Lake had elbow surgery and that he could return during the postseason, which now Gilbert kind of makes sense as to why they signed tight end Nick Muse to the practice squad. It kind of told us that maybe Higbee had been dealing with something for a while now. Uh, with the surplus of tight ends, it kind of makes sense too. You give him some time to kind of get healthy for the stretch run. So I kind of understand that one. The one that I'm a bit, I'm a little concerned for Quinn Lake, because he's been the leader of that secondary. We just talked about this might be the best quarterback they faced so far this season in Baker Mayfield. Gilbert, you lose one of your leaders in Quinn Lake, and then your right side of that offensive line, Rob Havenstein, goes on IR. So two positions that I'm sure you're worried about, Gilbert.
Yeah, I feel like the O line has gotten into a nice rhythm in the past month or so, and the Buccaneers don't really apply a lot of pressure right now. They're pretty banged up themselves. I don't know what the heck happened with Hassan Reddick. I think they lost a couple guys in the interior. You still got Vita Vea to deal with, but in terms of on the edges, they don't really have a lot of guys. Quentin Lake is gonna hurt. Tyler Higbee to an extent, but they got a lot of tight ends as we know here with Parkinson's and Ferguson and Davis Allen, so they'll be fine there. But the Lake one's gonna hurt the most. He's a versatile DB where I don't even know if I call him a safety or a corner. He does a little bit of both, so I prefer call him a DB here, and you're gonna need that versatility against Baker Mayfield. So hopefully he comes back before the playoffs and help out during that time. But this is probably the best week where you kind of feel okay because the way the secondary performed. I remember now Darius Williams got an interception, two from Kitchens and one from Durant. Again, Forbes have had probably his best career performance as a pro. He's the first round pick of the Commanders, who people thought was a bust, and maybe he's finding a home here in LA. But I still think the secondary hasn't been fully tested, but they stepped up and they found something there. But you got more bodies too. That's why they drafted for Roger McCreary. Cam Kinches is healthy. I forget about Cam Curl, but you got plenty of bodies there in the secondary to rotate and help out. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah, and Rob Havenstein. I mean, he's been dealing with two bad shoulders for a while there. He had both of those clean during the off season. So The fact that it's an ankle and a knee bursitis, it also kind of tells me that they just want to, especially since he's a veteran, they might just want to get him healthy for the stretch
Yeah.
run. So
What's the
something
plan,
that
by the way, Vic, for the right side now?
I haven't seen what they're gonna do. I didn't see anything coming out of from the reporters. My guess it's gonna be McClendon, from what I remember, but we'll see what happens. He's done well. McClendon has on the right side. We'll see what they go with for right tackle in this matchup. I will say this, Gilbert. Um, as much as we've talked about the offense and the struggles they had last week against the Seahawks, the interior of that offensive line has started to kind of play really well. Kevin Dotson, Steve Avila, and Coleman
Yeah.
Shelton have really, really played well. Um, Alaric Jackson is dealing with some, off the field stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw
want to get
that.
into the whole lawsuit situation. I didn't bring it up just
Yeesh.
because
Yeah.
if he's playing, I guess the Rams don't feel like it's an issue, but it'll be something that we'll probably have to, as long as he don't have to miss any time, Gilbert. I guess it'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll touch on it very briefly here, but don't do dumb crap like that. Like, you're a freaking pro football player. Don't be immature. Don't let things come back to bite you. I'm not sure if you actually did it. Maybe it's allegedly. I don't know, but be smart. And I'm sure NFL players get told that all the time. But this is
Yep.
just dumb crap that you don't need to deal with, especially a player who's so important like Allery Jackson is. Again, I don't know if he did it or not, but do better.
And good question by Brian Smith here. Xavier Smith is on concussion protocol. Did not practice today. I don't think it looks good for him to play this week. So I would say usually I still haven't seen a player this year or this season, Gilbert, who's been in concussion protocol be able
Yeah,
to play the following week. So I would say that he's a no go for this week. I would bet he plays next week. But yeah, I don't expect Xavier uh, Xavier Smith to play this week. So yeah,
yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, and then I mean, I'm gonna give you the list here real quick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did not practice on Wednesday, Gilbert. Outside linebacker Chris Braswell Jr., guard Ben Brendanson hamstring, Jameel Dean hip, Chase McLaughlin had a personal day. Outside linebacker Hassan Reddick with the knee and an ankle. Guard Dan Feeney with an illness. Wide receiver Chris Godwin Jr. with the fibula. He was a limited practice. Uh, Tackle Luke Gudecki illness. So it looks like there's an illness going around in that
Wow.
defensive end. Logan Hall illness. Bucky Irvin shoulder and foot limited in practice. Quarterback Baker Mayfield illness limited participant. Sterling Shepard shoulder injury. Uh, Tackle Tristan Wirth with the shoulder limited participant. The only one that was a full participant was outside linebacker Marquise Watts, Gilbert. So 14 players on the injury report for the Buccaneers, Gilbert.
Uh, yeah, that's a lot. For the Buccaneers' sake, a lot of times the ones that report, you just throw everybody on there for maintenance and making sure that guys are healthy enough to make it through the week. It's the back end of the season, so I bet over half of those players play, maybe more. Like, I mean, I don't know, 10 out of 14 play. But those are a lot of good players on that list that they should be worried about. And for my sake, I have Buck Irvin in fantasy. I'm hoping he freaking comes back finally. It's been like 2 months, but we'll see about that one. Yeah, there's just a lot of guys there. As long as you have Baker Mayfield, it seems like they're always going to have a chance. And yeah, when you see Tristan Wirfs on there, Gadecki, like you have your whole line on there, that's not great. But
Uh,
they've been getting by this way. They're probably used to it at this point. So if you got Mayfield, roll out the football and see what you could do.
Before I get to my next item here on our news and notes, Brian Smith has a question for you here.
Yeah, I don't know why OBJ is still a thing, but Brian is asking. Speaking of immature, Gilbert, he says, "Please tell us OBJ isn't on Snead's radar. He's not. Like OBJ has stopped being a thing since what 2022. It's been 3 years since then. Yeah, I get the rumors after they win the Super Bowl and they want to bring him back. I think that year after the Super Bowl, he didn't even play at all because he tore his ACL. I think in the Super Bowl. So he was connected then, but now it's like with 23, 24, 25, like what are we doing here? I know there's reporters out there to like to hype up OBJ and think he's still a superstar and they want to prop him up for a source or a connection.
Clicks.
Yeah, so he's not that guy anymore. I don't get it. I'm tired of this. And he's a guy who probably has a lot of interest off the field. Focus on that. I don't get why he keeps trying to make it back as a football player, but it's hard for players who are known to be superstars or alphas, and then out of nowhere it's like, oh crap, it's over. So I get that part.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you're gonna run 13 personnel, I mean, I want to see more Jordan Whittington out there. I want to see more Kanata Munfield. You have guys there. You don't you're gonna take reps away from him to go and sign a guy who has been in OBJ. It makes no sense. I stay away. Even if you hear rumors, it's just trying to keep his name out there. It feels like all right, Gilbert. Two more things here. The Rams have signed Harrison Mevis to the active roster, so the Rams now have two kickers on the active roster. We'll see what happens the rest of the way, whether or not they keep both kickers once some of these guys start to come back from injury reserve. And then last thing for those of you who are lucky enough to be able to attend the game on Sunday Night Football between the Rams and the Buccaneers. The Rams will distribute Aaron Donald bobbleheads to the first 60,000 in attendance. So that'll be cool. I saw the bobblehead, Gilbert. I don't know if you've seen it. It's Aaron Donald with the pointing at the ring, which honestly, if it feels like that's going to be the statue that eventually gets built outside of
Yeah,
SoFi. So you, if, and that's what I'm saying. If you're lucky enough, if I had a chance, I'd go and try to get one of those bobbleheads because like I said, I feel like that's going to be the statue that they're going to put outside of. The other thing I saw, Gilbert, that I think makes me even think that that's going to be the case is they have a life size bobblehead of it in their training facilities. So
oh,
just something to keep in mind,
oh
Gilbert.
yeah, I think I've seen pictures of it. But yeah, it's a nice bobblehead. Feel like AD's been all over the place. He's still in the spotlight. He was at Pittsburgh's Notre Dame game, hanging out with Pat McAfee with the ESPN Game Day crew. I think he has like a podcast now. I saw he was talking to Matthew Stafford, so he's still all over the place. I know people still want to ask him to come back, and that one I wouldn't mind. OBJ, no, but AD coming back, that'd be interesting. I doubt it. That has come and gone. That's not a thing anymore. And yeah, the kicker thing is interesting. Having two guys on the active roster, I cannot remember the last time that's happened. And it kind of just tells me, are the Rams really that worried about Cardi getting picked up on waivers? At some point, just take a chance and see if he makes it through. But like, the more you try to stash him, the more you're getting people to think like, man, like is this guy good? Let's take him just to piss him off. And you should have done it right away.
My thing is, why not just put him on IR? I remember Bill Belichick, you know, oh, this guy is hurt. Just come up with some kind of
Yeah.
injury and just say, hey, he's hurt. That way you stash him on IR. And it's not like the Rams have had a bunch of dudes on IR where, they're the 49ers or the Buccaneers where you've used up IR, spot. So it's just weird. You're right. I don't get it. I mean, look, I get it that you still think you have him on a rookie contract, but it's just,
He's a
if you're gonna
kicker.
do that, just put him on IR.
Yeah. And you're kind of wasting a roster spot. You got guys who are hurt right now. What are we doing here?
All right, Gilbert, let's get to the Rams and Buccaneers week 12 storylines. And everything was looking gravy for the Buccaneers a couple of weeks ago, before their matchup against the Patriots. They were on, they were gonna, run away with the NFC South. Everything looked good. I believe it's their what would this be their sixth straight divisional title, I believe, or their fifth? if they were able to win it this year.
So
They haven't
21, 22, 23, 24. It'll be their fifth.
their fifth in a row. So there you go. And then they they lose to the Patriots, and then they get, as we mentioned, they got destroyed in the fourth quarter by the Bills, and now they have to travel across the country to take on a Rams team that is hitting on all cylinders here. So I guess my question is, do you still have them winning that division, and are the injuries just way too much for them to hold off the Panthers here?
I do see the Buccaneers holding on, but I'm starting to think maybe it comes down to the final week. I think they play each other at the end, Buccaneers Panthers. So like the way it's shaping up, like say the Panthers are able to beat the 49ers. That's not an easy game, and the Rams beat the Buccaneers, and you have a half a game lead. It's still not a nice route for the Panthers. They actually have a pretty tough schedule. And then at the end of the day, these two teams play each other twice in 3 weeks. So it pretty much comes down to them, whoever beats each other. And that's kind of the beauty of divisional matches and having these guys play that late. You control your own destiny. So even regardless of what happens with the Rams, the Buccaneers will be fine. Uh, I think after this game, they play like the Titans or some other.
Yeah, they got the so I got it here. They got the Cardinals next,
Yeah.
then the Saints. Both games are at home. They go 3 games in a row at home, Gilbert. They got the Cardinals, the Saints, and the Falcons, which they should
So the
win all those
crappy
3 of
team.
those games. And then the schedule makers got it right, because they got, as you said, they got the Panthers on the road, and then the Dolphins. They're at the Dolphins, and then they finish off with the Panthers. So 2 of their last 3 games are against the Panthers, and as you said,
Yeah.
that might be for the division to end the season there.
Yeah, so say the Bucks lose, I can see them winning 3 in a row. I trust them to win 3 in a row against bad teams. I don't trust the Panthers to win 3 in a row against anybody. So, but I do want to see these games come. I want to see Carolina and Tampa go into their first matchup like with a lot on the line. That'd be fun football. But I think the Buccaneers are fine regardless. So they tend to make it close. Anyways, remember last year it was supposed to be the Falcons that won it. They had like a 4-game lead on them.
Oh,
The
that's
Buccaneers
right.
were hurt and they got healthy. They rolled off 4 or 5 in a row. The Falcons faded, which like they always do. So they're battle tested. They'll be fine, even regardless of this outcome. But at some point, you want to feel good about yourself. You don't want this losing streak to continue. They lost one to the Patriots. They lost one to the Bills. I think it might be a 2-game losing streak, or it might be like 3 out of 4. I forget. But they need something good here to show. Okay, people have forgotten about us. People are moved on. They're trying to fork us. They're trying to say we're dead in the water. They're all giving love to Carolina. If Baker Mayfield has a great game and he reverts to his September ways where he was an MVP candidate and they keep it close here, and I think they can, um, they'll be talked about again. But the Buccaneers get a lot of respect. It's just right now it's hard to think about them that way. But they're dangerous, and I really think Baker Mayfield's going to test the secondary here a lot more than Sam Darnold did. Sam Darnold gifted them the 4 interceptions. Sam Darnold is not he doesn't process as quickly as Baker. He's not as accurate and not even as aggressive. And I think Baker is aggressive and accurate, and he thinks faster, and he knows what he's seeing out there. And that could definitely be a problem for the secondary that just lost Quentin Lake. So I'm not gonna count out the Buccaneers. I think they're gonna keep it close. I think they're gonna find a way to make it interesting. Regardless of who's the running back, they seem to always kind of find the guy. Rashad White, Sean Tucker, Kate Allen's a good tight end. Let's see with all the alignment play. The real problem is on defense. So, a thing about Stafford and this Rams offense, they've been rolling, but they never have the feel of an explosive team. They don't feel like what Josh Allen and the Bills did to Tampa Bay, but maybe they do it this game. Like they really struggled last week against Seattle, but that's not Tampa Bay's defense. Is not Seattle, so this is on maybe a game where you're gonna need the offense to step up and bail them out after what the defense did last week for you. It might be time to return the favor this week.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the Buccaneers in terms of winning that division. As much as I like what I've seen from the Panthers, it's just hard to, not believe in the Buccaneers, especially with the pedigree they have, with Baker Mayfield. And one of the things too is he might be the best quarterback they face so far, the Rams. And so I kind of want to see how he tests this he is able to test this Rams secondary. I think for me, that's going to be the biggest thing I want to see from this matchup is to see Baker Mayfield and how he attacks the secondary because you want to be tested going down the stretch. You still have a game against the Lions. I don't know how much I trust Jared Goff, but I know that that offense, can put up points quickly. It is a game that is going to be inside, so that favors Jared Goff. But in terms of being like a top 10 quarterback that you're going to face, Baker Mayfield is that guy. And I think one thing you forgot to mention there, and, that was a good analysis by you on Baker Mayfield, but he gets out of the pocket, man. He likes to run, he likes to get yards, out of the pocket there. So you also have to make sure that he doesn't get out of the pocket there and kills you for some yardage there. But the other thing too, Gilbert, is it doesn't get talked a lot, and I don't understand why this is, but Todd Bowles just doesn't get the credit he deserves. Like he's done a good job. He's winning all these division titles, and it just doesn't seem like people give him credit. Like the fact that he went outside and hired guys like Dave Canales, Liam Cohen, and now like getting someone on his own staff to elevate him to offensive coordinator, like, that's impressive. Like, those things, like, I keep seeing, like, the part of the reason Raheem Morris is struggling is because he didn't pick a good coordinator. You see guys who are defensive coordinators out there who continue to struggle because they can't pick their offensive coordinator. Look at Pete Carroll. I mean, he went and got Chip Caleb from college, and that was a terrible hire. And I just feel like, and then the other thing with Todd Bowles is I've really been impressed with his game management. He just hasn't been able to use it the last couple of weeks just because he's got a bunch of dudes hurt, and his defense just keeps getting destroyed. So I just feel like he deserves a little bit more credit. We don't talk about Raheem Morris enough, and I mean, I'm sorry, Todd Bowles, a former Buccaneers coach. I just,
Yeah.
but yeah, Todd Bowles deserves more credit.
Yeah, it's hard to do what you do because he likes to bring in pressure. He likes to blitz and have a good front, but he doesn't have the bodies. It's just Vita Vea and guys, and Reddick has not been what they thought they'll get from when they gave him money because they needed an edge rusher. It's just that's why the free agency is always a crapshoot because guys on their second contract usually don't live up to their name that they established when they were rookies or younger. um, they haven't really hit on an edge rusher in the draft. That's really been a big weakness for Tampa Bay, actually. And Jason Light, the GM, they hit on corners. They get some good corners. You got Jamil Dean. You got sorry, DBs overall because you got Antoine Whitfield Jr. as well. I think Jacob Parrish is another good player. He's a rookie. They drafted like 2 or 3 DBs in the draft, and that's helping out. Their linebacker seems to always be okay because Lavonte David doesn't get old, but eventually you're gonna need some to get younger there. But
Yeah.
their front is a problem. Vita Vea is really good. Other than that, who do you really have? And if you rely on being aggressive and blitz heavy, then that's a problem. You don't have guys to do it for you. So I kind of feel for Todd Bowles there in that aspect. They lost their third year guy, I think it is, Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle, who's more of a pass rusher on the middle. You don't have that presence either, so it's rough there. And then so it's gonna be that's why I keep going to the offense. Like if Baker and Ibuka, get something going, that they're gonna have a chance. But defensively, man, it's gonna be an uphill battle. And then you got to face Stafford now, who's been red hot too.
Yeah, I mean, he's going after that record for most consecutive touchdowns without an interception. I think he's up to 22. He needs
Wow.
4 more to tie Tom Brady's record. So that's another thing to kind of look add to the resume for Stafford there. On the other side, Gilbert, I saw a comment last week, and we'll get to Brian Smith's a question there about Seattle, and I do want to ask you about it before we once we finish up here with the storylines. But I saw a comment there where they was talking about McVay, and it made me think. I responded, it is a good point, and it made me think about McVay and whether or not this is the best version of what he's been wanting to install right into his offense. And I thought about it before the game against Seattle, talking about that in terms of like he can be able to run 13 personnel, he can run 12, he can run 11 personnel. So he's got all everything you would want. And then I looked at the week 11 matchup against Seattle, and it was the largest yards disparity in the McVay era, minus 165, and the second largest time of possession disparity in regulation with 15 and a half minutes there. And so it made me think like he has everything he needs and he's still able to win when he doesn't have he can go to his playbook and be able to win games. He has the defense now. And so has he just learned how to win, and has he just evolved into a really good coach that just doesn't he doesn't rely just on his play calling, I guess is my thing. And is this the best in terms of that he has the best talent at his disposal to run the offense that he wants?
Yeah, that's a tough one because he's had many talented offenses, but it's hard to deny it because Stafford's probably playing. I don't want to just be
In the
recency
moment.
bias here,
Yeah.
but Stafford's had a long career with a lot of good seasons, but it's kind of hard to argue that this might be his best season of his career when it comes to having so many touchdowns, protecting the football, spreading the football around, having different personnels coming in and out of it, and not flinching. Like last week, the Seahawks said, "You're not going to play big football. You're not going to play the tight end sets." Okay, fine. Let's go back to 11 personnel. Like to be that versatile and just kind of adjust as the game goes on, that's a big thing for Stafford. He's having a career year. Again, I'm not sure if it's his best year of his career, but it's up there. Devontae has been hit or miss, but he might be their best number two. I don't know because you've had Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua, but I think let's be real, Puka Nakua is always the number one, and Cooper
Yeah.
was starting to fade. And then when you have Cooper Cup and Robert Woods, Devontae Adams is a better player than Robert Woods, but Devontae's on the back end of his career, so it's a little tough. So you kind of gauge it like that. When OBJ arrived, he was also late in his career, and he was like a rental as well. Where we go back to the Jared Goff days, where you got like Brandon Cooks, and a young Cup and a young Robert Woods, you know, and you got Todd Gurley. That could be the other part too. You don't really have a Todd Gurley. I like Kyron Williams. I like Blake Corum, but they're not Todd Gurley. So for the conversation, I don't know if it's their best offense, but I do like the versatility. I like how they evolved. I like the adjustments. I'm still up and down with the play calling for McVay, but for him to evolve, it just shows you that he is legitimate one of the best coaches of this generation. Can I say that? The last 10 years for sure, because he's willing to evolve. It took him a while, and it's hard not to blame him for taking a while because 11 personnel was working. He was winning all the time. Why would you switch it? Like he built that 11 personnel for Jared Goff, and it wasn't going the way he really wanted. Like, he saw the potential of it. And to their credit, they said, F it, we're not going with Jared Goff. We're gonna get Stafford. And then it ran to perfection. That's kind of a way of evolving too. You just got different players to run what you want to do. And then when it got a little stale, you go for the run heavy gap scheme, and now you're doing the tight end set. So to me, that's great sign of being a coach where you're going to be here for a long time. I don't think this stuff about going back to the TV booth is going to be a thing anymore. I think he's enjoying it. He found something different. He's tweaking it. Like something like sometimes we see this thing like in what is it, the water boy, where like he has this amazing playbook and that's his
Yeah.
baby and he's gonna live off of that. Like, but it doesn't work that way in real life. You gotta have different things. You gotta keep evolving. And I think once Sean McVay realized that, okay, that my 11 personnel is not the only thing I have. What else have we got here? I think it got him really excited. And then you got Les Need, who has evolved the roster three times now. The Jared Goff era, first Matthew Stafford era, and the second Matthew Stafford era. These are some creative people who know how to stay ahead of the trend. Now they got a first round pick from the Falcons. It's going to be top 10. Why would you want to leave? So I can see the point you're making, Vic.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it in terms of like he's got everything at his disposal now, and so he's able to do what he wants on the offensive side. And I looked at the four tight ends, I looked at the offensive line, and I think my biggest thing, as Brian brought up earlier, was, hey, if they can stay healthy, they can do something. And now you have the injury to Havenstein. So I just wonder what the Rob Havenstein injury is going to do to this offensive line going forward. But I still like this to any version that they've had so far. And I mean, you didn't even bring up Cooper Cup and OBJ. That's what got them to the Super Bowl and won it. OBJ got hurt in the Super Bowl, but uh, Cooper Cup won the MVP in that game. And so I just feel like they have and he's got Matthew Stafford playing at a high level. They just got to keep him healthy, and it just feels like being able to run this 13 personnel also keeps him upright, keeps Matthew Stafford upright, and allows
Yeah.
him to be really good and be able to be his best. And so but getting to the question, I wanted to set that up to be able to ask you this because Brian Smith brings up a good question here, and I know it's early, but what are your thoughts on our next game with Seattle? And I feel like Gilbert, I kind of talked about this, is that it kind of sucks though. I just praised the schedule makers for what they did with the Panthers and the Buccaneers. I think they kind of did the Rams and the Seahawks a disservice because you have the Lions and Rams game, and then 4 days later you're supposed to go up to Seattle and play them. And I'll say one more thing in terms of before I want to get your response here to Brian is I wonder how much Sean McVay didn't want to show Mike McDonald in this matchup because he knew he's got to face him a second time. And there's all the talk was these teams are going to face each other 3 times because eventually, like even if you look at the seed, let's say the way the seats are right now, if both of them win their first round matchups, they're probably facing each other. So there is that as well. So how much do you want to show? Because you're probably gonna have to see each other 2 more times.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like how tight the standings are from now to that December 18 matchup. So, if it's for all the marbles or a pivotal game, it doesn't matter what you show, you got to win that game. Uh, and yeah, it does suck that it's on a Thursday night in Seattle, but I think the Seahawks play the Colts the Sunday before, and that's a difficult matchup. It's not an Indy, so they don't have to travel, so they get 2 home games. That's the benefit for Seattle and a 10 or what a 4-day span. But the Colts could definitely put a lot of pressure on them. What if the Colts win that game? And now you get a little more of a cushion if you're the Rams. So
True.
I looked at the schedule for the Seahawks. They have to play the crappy Titans, probably a win. Vikings could be interesting, but probably a win. Falcons probably a win. So the next time the Seahawks could be tested again is going to be Indy, and then they face the Rams. So that could be 2 pivotal games back to back. Same thing with the Rams. We'll see how they do against the Buccaneers. They better beat the Panthers and they better beat the Cardinals. And then you get the Lions. So who knows? Like that's a tougher schedule for the Rams than the Seahawks. So before you go into that Thursday night game, it could be definitely a lot on the line for the division there. But yeah, so the Seahawks get the Colts and they get the Rams, and the Rams get the Lions and the Seahawks. So both of them get tough games to kind of even it out. But again, not the same when you got one that's at home for 2 games in a row. But it should be a good one. I think it's gonna be a lot on the line. I think there's a lot to be played out in the next couple of weeks. But I think it's gonna be one of those things where either the Rams have a 1-game lead or they're tied in the division. It's gonna be a pivotal matchup again.
Yeah, I'm with you too. You kind of wish it was like the last game, but you
Yeah.
just know how these divisions are going to turn out. I mean, they got, like I said, they got the Buccaneers and Panthers right there. We'll see what happens with this matchup. As you said,
Yeah.
it's going
And
to be a big one.
yeah, and real quick before we move on, it's kind of a benefit that the Rams get the crappy Cardinals to end the season. Like it's like, okay, you get a little bye week against the crappy Cardinals. And then the Seahawks and the 49ers are playing each other. And I bet the 49ers are gonna be in the wild card hunt. The
Yep.
Seahawks are going to be trying to play for the division. Like that's going to be a
And it's
pivotal matchup
in
for
San
both.
Francisco. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's going to be a tough one. So that's a benefit too for the Rams.
yeah. I mean, this division it seems like it's going to go down to the wire. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, we know what to expect from Sean McVay and Les Snead. They're going to prioritize health. So, and they don't care who they play, down the stretch or in the playoffs. They don't care about seeding. We
Yeah.
know that now
True.
from,
Yeah,
so
imagine they clinch a playoff spot and they have to beat the Cardinals for the division where they just sit
nope.
them. I doubt it
Yes,
because
he's going to sit they're
yeah,
going to sit. We
but
know
that one
that.
you get a home game. That's a problem. So it would be a tough one.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think Sean would think about it and say, I don't care about the home game. Let's sit. But it's a tough one though. It would be interesting if it happens.
Yeah, it will be, but I can guarantee you that just knowing, like, we thought,
Mm,
oh no, they're gonna go for it.
yeah.
You want the higher seat. They were like, nope, we
That'd be
already.
funny. Like if you're hoping for the 49ers to beat the Seahawks to win the division while they rest. Yeah, that'd
Yep,
be funny. Kyle Shanahan helping
yep,
them out.
that's true. Having a new imagine Ram fans rooting for Niner fans to be. Yeah,
It's not a
that's
bad
gonna be
approach.
fun.
You got me thinking now because say the 49ers need a wild card spot to get in and the Seahawks
Yeah,
need a win to win the division. They're both playing for something. And you kind of just say, we'll rest and see how it plays out. The 49ers have to give their best and they're at home. So it's
yeah,
kind of an interesting angle. I do like what you're thinking there.
yep. That'll be something. All right, Gilbert. Let's be quick here with the keys to the Rams win versus
Yeah.
the Buccaneers. What are yours here? What do you want to see from the Rams here to get a win over the Buccaneers?
Yeah. I'll go away from the secondary and I think it might be a problem if they get into a shootout. Like I think the Bills like playing into a shootout. I think the Rams shouldn't do that. They're a versatile team. Don't give the Buccaneers their one weapon. It's like going into a shootout. I know they've been punching above their weight class lately, but don't give them any hope. So run the football, play physical football, tire them out. I remember seeing Baker Mayfield on the sideline last week where the defense couldn't get a stop and he was just frustrated, like, how are we gonna keep pace where we're not getting the freaking football back? So run Blake, run Kyron. I know they went away from them last week. Don't do that again. To me, I think that'd be a big time key for a victory here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was gonna say, I keep saying this, and they just keep getting lucky in terms of, like, they lose the coin toss and then they get the ball first. For me, it's get the ball again, get the ball first, get go down, do like a 10 or 15 play drive, and I'm with you. Just control the clock, get time of possession in your favor, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you made a great point there. Like, the biggest strength for this Buccaneers team is your offense. Why would you want them out on the field?
Yep.
Don't get your defense exposed here. The least amount of times you need to see the Buccaneers offense on the field, the better for you. So, y- work your strength here, work the clock, and then get those both of those running backs going, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. One of the things that continues to beat the Buccaneers defense is either stretch plays on the outside with some outside zone or screens to the outside. They continue to get beat. I saw that Patriots game and I saw that Bills game against the Buccaneers, and every time it worked. Like, they just got to the outside and they made two moves and they were gone, Gilbert. Whether it was Cooks or it was what was the other, I forget the backup for running back for the Bills, but even Trayvon Harrison finally went off against the Buccaneers there. I think he had two big runs where I remember that last touchdown where he looks over to the sideline, Trayvon Harrison, and he's like, "Do you want me to take a knee here, or do you
Yeah.
want me to keep?" They're like, "Keep going." So he scores a touchdown there. So yeah, I mean, just run the ball here, use your running backs here, use Puka Nakua to run some of those sweeps, and yeah, control the clock.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Definitely find the game where you get the 1-2 punch going, and I think this could be one of those games.
And then we got Brian Smith with his key. He says the key to the game is McVay must not go into conservative mode as early as he did against Seattle. if he has the lead. So
Yeah.
good point there by Brian. All right, Gilbert. Let's get to the line here. The Rams are 6.5 point favorites. I don't understand this line. Maybe it's because the Bucks have been getting burned lately by betters. And the over under here is 49.5. What's the right side of this line, Gilbert?
Yeah, last week the under hit, but I think I feel better about the over hitting here. Again, Baker and the Bucks have one thing, and that's scoring and scoring at a rapid pace. And they might flame out at the end, and there's more balance with the Rams, so they'll be fine even if it goes into a shootout. I'm saying they should avoid that, but I'll go with the over here, 49.5, and I will actually take the Buccaneers and the points. I'm not saying I'm picking the Buccaneers to win, but out of respect for Baker Mayfield, he tends to, play well. I'll take 6.5 points for the Buccaneers, but they've been fading. They're on the road. They're banged up. I don't like that bet. And by the way, for more analysis on NFL betting, check out Game Week with the Compas on the Compas on the Beat YouTube channel. We discuss it all there for NFL betting. And I took the Buccaneers for one of my best bets. So I don't feel good about it, but I'll take them. 6.5. That's a high number for this team, and they're a good team.
Yeah, I like the 6.5 here for the Rams and the over under. I mean, both of these offenses score. That's what I was saying. The key to me is like the least amount you have to see that Bucks offense on the field, the better. It's going to be hard, especially if you're able to get those long runs. Like I've been saying, I mean the Patriots and the Bills gashed them for those long plays there. So something to keep an eye on. Sometimes as much as you want to control the clock, if your guys are going on long runs and the your defense is back on the field, there's not much you can do. So that's why I feel like you have to be methodical. If you get the ball on offense, if you're the Rams. One comment here from Marketing Pro, I forgot to mention this. Ethan Evans was named the NFC
Yeah.
Special Teams Player of the Week, and I mean he saved their bacon there. They don't win that game without him, so well deserved by Ethan Evans, and he has some really good punts in that game. So he made sure to keep the ball away from Shaheed. So shout out to him for winning Special Teams Player of the Week, especially since special teams weren't that special for a couple weeks there. So
Yeah.
to have your punter win it, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was well deserved because I feel like in the NFL, a lot of times if there's a team trailing by a field goal or less than a field goal and they get the ball back with you know, m- more than 130 left or 2 minutes to go, you're probably gonna get that field goal more times than not. So for them to be pinning back at the one, that was big. That was clutch. You killed a lot of clock, and boom, you won the game. You had to see Jason Myers kick a 61 yarder, but he didn't. He was not even close on the kick. So, Ethan Evans, shout out to you.
Yeah, one more thing here, Gilbert. The Rams are 7-3 against the spread. They did not cover last week against the Seahawks by 1 point there. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our Rams and Buccaneers game prediction. Give us your predictions if you're still out there. Brian, anybody else, go ahead and give us your predictions here. Gilbert, go ahead and get us started here.
I'll go high scoring. Let's say the Rams win 30, and I'll say the Buccaneers 24. I still get the cover. So, yeah, 6 point victory for the Rams here, 30-24, and the over. So, uh, I could definitely see something where the Buccaneers are keeping pace and then they fade like they did in Buffalo. So, give me the Rams 30-24.
I'm gonna give you a big score in this one, just because I remember I saw. Uh, have the Rams scored 40 this season yet?
I want to say
Can
they
you
maybe I could check real
I'm
quick.
gonna say they do this game. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 40-24 in this
Yeah,
game.
they did it to the 49ers. Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, so I think they make it two out of the last three games where they score over 40 points. I say it's 40-24. It just feels like
Wow.
this is one of those games where they're gonna put the hammer down, especially of the way they looked against the Seahawks. And the Buccaneers just are too injured, Gilbert. I was really looking forward to this game just because I thought this was going to be the game. Like okay, you go through the Niners, then you go through the Seahawks, and then you get the Buccaneers where you face the best quarterback you faced so far. But if the defense isn't up to par for the Buccaneers, I just don't know if they can stay with the Rams here. And so even as much as Baker Mayfield is gonna put this team on his back, there's not much you can do when you don't have as many opportunities. So yeah, I just think this is gonna be one of those games. And that's the other thing too, Gilbert. We've talked about it on Compas, but none of these primetime games have been watchable. Like they've either been routes or none of them. I can't think, like, even the Lions game, that was horrific to watch. I mean, yeah, it's if you're like a guy that just loves watching football and loves watching defense, I don't think you love the fact that the Detroit Lions went for it 5 times in a row and did not make it on 4th down. And so it's just, I don't have any hopes for these primetime games to be close. I wish I could, but going off of what we've seen so far this season, I even asked you guys, I'm like, do you guys remember what the last good primetime game was? And you guys gave me one in like week 1, week 2 with the Bills and the Ravens and the Chargers and Chiefs. So it's been a
Yeah,
while.
I did enjoy Old Man Bowl, Bengals, Steelers. That was kind of fun, but that's probably
Yeah.
the last one. I believe I looked, but that kind of tells you everything. And that's a good point by you. I could definitely see a game where the Rams do what they did to the 49ers, wounded team, just like the Buccaneers. I could see that too. But I think at some point the Buccaneers are going to stop the bleeding. And I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think they could stop somewhat of the bleeding this week before they bounce back next week.
Yeah, and then like I said, the schedule lines up well for the Buccaneers where they can go on a run here, win out after this game and then win the division. And probably, I know we talked about it, but I could see the Buccaneers being that team that is the first game on a Saturday there. And it'll be the first time in forever since we got a non AFC South
Yeah,
uh
it's probably going to
team to
be Buccaneers or Panthers against the fifth seed NFC West second place. I could definitely see that.
yeah, which would be Seattle or even the 40. I mean, who knows? But yeah, we'll see what happens there, Gilbert. But that is it. Thank everybody for being patient and waiting for us to get on here. But that takes care of our preview for week 12 between the Rams and the Buccaneers, Gilbert. And yeah, looking forward to it. I can't believe it's already week 12.
Yeah, getting to the point, thinking about playoffs, but maybe it's a little dangerous to think that far ahead for a team because a lot could happen. But yeah, I think week 11, that matchup against Seattle was such a big game that it's kind of like, oh, there's still 7 more games. Oh, okay. So yeah, we're here at week 12, so it's moving along, but still a lot of football left to be played. Brian Smith says, "Thank you, gentlemen, for another great show." Thank you, Brian, for being here in the comments. I know we started a little later than usual. That's on me, but also it's Sunday Night Football, so why not start the show extra late? So yeah, on that note, it's time to get going. Enjoy Sunday Night Football. Enjoy Week 12. And win your fantasy matchup. Win some NFL bets. And enjoy family time. Do whatever that makes you happy. On that note, nos vamos, pues. Vámonos.